Hello, everybody. It's Friday once again. We're here with LattMackey, and he's going to be playing two games with us today. We'll be playing Splatterhouse, followed up shortly by Ninja Spirit. Uh, Once again, thank you for coming to hang out, everybody. We're going to continue on, and with that, I'll send it over to LattMackey.
Hello, everybody. My name is LattMackey, and we're going to be playing, like he said, some Splatterhouse and some Ninja Spirit on the TurboGrafx 16. Before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out and a very big thank you for this marathon. I live in Southern California, and the fire thing is a real thing. I live very close, actually, to where a lot of fires actually happen. So I'm super appreciative of this marathon, and thank you for letting me show off some TurboGrafx 16 games. We're going to get started. This is a Splatterhouse. And ooh, the timer, is there a timer? Yes, it is. Here we go. So on 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay, so folks, for those of you who've never played it, Splatterhouse is kind of one of those quintessential games for the TurboGrafx 16. It's this side scroller, and most of the levels themselves are actually just kind of like auto scrollers, sort of. And I say sort of because you actually control the auto scroll, except for in 2 levels, which I'll get to when we get there. But as you can see, I'm going to be doing a lot of jumping and sliding. That's actually a quicker way to move through the levels. You actually can manipulate how fast you move through the levels because, like I said, you kind of control the auto scroll, even though basically this is a game like that's auto scrolling through the levels. To let everyone, do we have a timer? It's okay. Okay, we're good. Cool. Okay, so let's see. There's a lot of things that make up this game. It's actually I speed run mostly games on the TurboGrafx 16, and this game might be my favorite just because of how technical it actually is. It may not look like this on the screen, but there's a lot of the game is very execution heavy. You really have to execute to make sure the speed strats actually work. And I'll go over a little bit as we keep going on, but this is the first level, and it's almost always the same amount of time. It's kind of, if you can figure out the jumping and the sliding, you'll be okay to do it. So. As you'll notice, this game is very much an homage to the Friday the 13th movies of the time period. Although this is actually the Japanese version. In North America, they had to change up some of this so they wouldn't get sued by whoever held the rights to Jason or Friday the 13th, which I'm not 100% sure who that is, but that is a real thing. So once again, you're noticing that I'm going to be sliding and jumping quite a bit, and that's to actually move through the level as fast as you can. Hey, Dog Developer, what's up, man? How you doing? Good evening, or good afternoon now. Wrist mass is canonically an ancient Mayan mass. So yes, that is true. There is actually some lore and some story to this game. This version is actually a port of the arcade game, and if you get a chance, do yourself a favor and check out the arcade version of this game. It's wonderful. It's very similar. This is actually a really good, faithful port of the original, but I would like to say that like the sound effects and the music is like amped up, and there's quite a bit more enemies. It's quite a bit more challenging, and it's a little bit more gory too, especially for the time. But as you can imagine, so I had this game growing up as a kid. That's kind of what my nostalgia is. I have quite a bit for it, and it's it's very much using this 2x4 to hit these enemies here was like the thing to do as a kid. There was nothing more satisfying than bashing those enemies against the wall. So, well, there you go. So we're already on the stage 2 boss, and the stage 2 boss is actually just a bouncing room. You'll notice that like chairs and things are coming to life. Everything can hurt you that falls into the ground and can hit Rick. So I'm going to try to do that's actually not bad on a chair hit. That is right. You are going to bare knuckle some knives. Oh, missed a shot. There you go. Okay. The idea is to keep the knives over here. You can slide the window, and bang, we're just like that. We're done with the round 2 boss, which I lovingly call the room. So the rest of this, there's actually 7 stages in this game, and it's actually not, interestingly enough, this game doesn't have a whole lot of RNG except for one stage, which has kind of a ridiculous amount of RNG all in one stage. So, and I'll talk about that one as you get there. But this is stage 3, where we get the introduction and the first use of the shotgun, my personal favorite weapon of the game. And we're going to be using it in a little bit different way. We want, once again, if you notice the shotgun causes some recoil. When I shoot it, you'll actually notice I'll shoot right here. And so it's not necessarily the fastest weapon, but it is the fastest weapon to actually beat the boss with. So you notice I'm still doing the slide and jump kicking because it's actually a faster way to get through that section there. But I'm going to use the shotgun here. You notice I'm jumping because anytime you jump, you always hit the boss. And just like that, boss 3, all the way down. I call this guy the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I'm not quite sure what he is. He's just a dude with chains connected to his hands, so he does what he does. You'll notice, so a little difference from the arcade version. In the arcade version, after every stage, you get a refill of 1 health. In this game, you actually get a refill of 2 health. So I want to keep my health as high as I possibly can. It's pretty great, Zillow. It's pretty fun. So here, you don't actually need to use the spears in this section of the game. It's just kind of fun to actually get a chance to use other weapons that are in this game. So that's the other point there. And this enemy here, this little, I don't know, what do you like, an octopus guy or whatever he is on the floor, that's the only time you're actually going to see that enemy in this game. Not 100% sure why that is. I know in the arcade version, you actually do get a chance to see that enemy more often, but in this port, he only appears on screen once. So there you go. These are kind of a cool effect, these knives. They kind of work a little bit in like the 3D where they, they're kind of coming at you. Oh, got a bat there. You notice this is one of the few stages that actually auto-scrolls by itself. The one different thing about auto-scrollers in this game, there's actually a couple different things, but one is I can actually stop the auto-scroll. If I stay on the far left of the screen, you can actually stop the auto-scroll. But obviously, in a speedrun, you don't want to do that. So, I gotta go this down here. So here is Rick in a mirror, darkly. So those guys take, your mirrored Ricks take 3 hits each, and if you get a slide in, so the reason I do the slide a lot is the slide actually does double the damage. So a lot of times enemies and other things can go quicker if you slide on them, but unfortunately, when you slide like that at the edge, you stop the auto scroll, so it's one thing you don't want to do. So you do a little dance in here. Oh, and that does happen. So once again, I stopped the auto scroll, which is not always the best thing, but gotta do what you gotta do. And then here we're into the last room of this stage, and this has my favorite music in the entire game. This and the very last boss stage, but this once again, this is the Japanese version. So in the North American version of this game, this part was actually censored because of the cross and some other things. And you're going to want to use the cleaver here, which is an awesome weapon in this game, but it does twice the damage, just like a slide would. Oops. You notice I'm jump kicking so I can kick the flying heads, and that actually wasn't terrible. That was actually a pretty decent fight. There's actually a small glitch here, and if you were going to grind for world record in this game, you'd want to get, there's a glitch where you can actually keep the enemy in the far right-hand part of the screen. The world record holder right now is Zallard1. He is of Punch-Out, Super Punch-Out, blindfolded Punch-Out fame, and he has a great run that's just under 13 minutes. And my PB is about 30 seconds behind that. Maybe it's 35 seconds behind that. But like a good time to start on this game is around 15 minutes. If you can grind out a 15, it's a great starting place. This is a really fun speed run to learn. This is a really long cutscene, so quite often here's where I'll take a break, go get some water, drink some coffee. There's your chance right there. So now we're in stage 5, and this is where a lot of runs go to die, is in this stage right here. And you notice here, so these chairs are RNG. Geez. I don't really know where they're going to hit, and they've already taken 2 of my health. So the rest of this, we'll see what happens here. There's a fair amount of RNG in this part of the room as well. You have these little flying hands that you want to avoid. That's the worst RNG you can have right there, is when the guys jump at you. There's not a whole lot I can do when those guys jump at me, so... But I can try to keep them off screen, so... Okay, there we go. Just played it a little safe there. If you have full health by the time you get to this stage, you can actually you can do a little bit of a damage boosting to try to get through it. Those things. Oh, the puns. Oh, Anonymous, thank you so much for the good lucks. We have another underground stage here, and you actually don't really have to kill... I think you only have to kill one of those guys, but it's kind of fun to just go back and forth. So this is actually kind of a fun part of the stage. You're going to see an enemy only in this part of the game, and that's going to be this guy, this little dude flying up here. He actually controls the skeleton, so if he actually does this little thing, those skeletons reanimate. Oh, no. Okay, this is a little scary. So I'm going to take an intentional death on the next level, and I'll show you why in just a second. Can they clap or do they need partners to do so? No. So bad. The bad puns. I'm going to take an intentional death here on purpose because it's going to be a little bit easier to take on the last boss of this level with full health. So that's the idea here. I actually had a PB that was under 14 minutes that actually had a death in it. So depending on where you take a death in this game, while it does take time, you can still continue on with a run depending on where you take a death. However, if you wanted to grind for world record, you would have to do it deathless. That guy never comes from the left. Okay, we're good. Oh, jumped over him. Okay. Sure they can. The sound of one hand clapping is snapping. That's so true, right? Okay. So this is probably this is one of the more challenging bosses in this game. I'm gonna try the speed strat. It doesn't always my execution can always be questionable here, so we're gonna give it a try, see how well we do on him. You'll notice that is your girlfriend that you're trying to save, and oh no, she's turned into an alien. It actually happened. I didn't get the slide. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, I didn't get the slide. Okay, so we're gonna have to do some cycles here. Don't you just hate when your girlfriend turns into an alien? I mean, come on, let's be honest. I missed my slide. That's okay. So there's some strats we can do to try to skip through the cycles. If once again, in the world record run or in my PB run, this is a one cycle for this guy. You can actually beat him in one cycle or her in one cycle. But I missed a shot. There we go. Cool. Okay, so we're on to the next one. You forgot to buy her chocolates. I know, it's totally my fault. If you don't love her. At her worst, you don't deserve her at her best. Oh, it's so funny, Snow. So this is so here's the dreaded stage. If stage 5 wasn't a run killer, stage 6 most definitely is. And that's because of basically all of these enemies spawn and move in an RNG base. So I don't know when or where these things are going to spawn and how they're going to move. You'll notice that they don't move in a normal... Oh, why didn't I get him? Did not want to do that. Nice thing is I have full health, but no longer do. But so when one of these things spawns off screen, it stays on screen. You'll notice the one following me from the left, and then now the worst case. Okay. There we go. Now we're better off. So it's kind of, it really becomes a challenge. If you were doing, Zallard actually does a high score run of this game, and this is the level where you do multiple loops and try to get as many of these things to spawn as possible so you can go for a high score. In a speed run, these things are the worst things known to man. And I am trying to stay focused here but once again, that's another one spawned off screen, so I have to go back and get it. It'll just keep going. It'll never stop. So this is the boss. Uh-oh. Oh no, this is bad. Oh dang! I got sniped. I got sniped. So we're gonna have to go through the whole level again. Here's where, and you can see why this is a run killer. So you have to go through the entire level again if you die at the boss, and not exactly as you want it to go, but this one will be better. The idea, so my strat for this, and I think most runners' strat, is that you want to keep the spawning bubbles in front of you. Like if you stay about halfway through the screen, it's a good, it seems to keep a lot of these spawns in front of you. So, okay, there we go. So occasionally I'll mix in a slide, but sliding is very risky in this level because of the way that things, the path and the angles that these enemies take. You never know, like when they might just you'll see these, they just start moving differently. The interesting thing is you can see on the second go of this, on the second trip, you can see how already different these things are spawning. It's completely different than the last time we had. And so it makes this game this level such a challenge, really. I'm actually, oh my gosh. This is really bad. You can actually shake the controller to, this is scary. Okay, you got lucky on that one. That's a really bad spawn. Dang it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for round 6 again? It's gonna happen. Here we go. Okay. Thankfully, this is why you put a 20-minute estimate on this game, because of this level specifically. That's a good point. After actually playing through this game, I'm not actually sure you save your girlfriend. I think she turned into an alien for real, or whatever it is, a monster or whatnot. Okay. See, that's the kind of, like, sometimes the pathways that these things take that is so challenging for a speed run. Okay. Oh yeah, the music's wonderful. That's the soundtrack on this game is really quite good. Okay. And like I said, we still have one of my favorite tracks coming up, which is the last boss on the next level. Okay, here we go again, and now we have full health, so we should be okay. I say that, and then that happens. So there's a sliding technique you can actually use here to speed this fight up just a little bit. Sometimes tough to... Oh, come on. Whew! Okay, there we go. We made it. Dang it. That was scary. So this is like real life, it feels like. That's what could happen in a speedrun of this game. Here is the last level of the game, and there's actually no enemies to kill except for the very last boss, which is kind of a cool thing. I like that every stage really is quite unique in this game, which is really fun to play through. If you're doing a casual playthrough of this game, it's really fun because of all the different challenges. But these fire guys, if you hit them, you get hit. This is good. I actually have decent health, so I will get a chance to do one or two of the speed strats in this. But even your fist is part of your hitbox, so if you were to punch those guys, you would get hit as well. Okay, and here we go with my favorite music in the game. This in the stage 4 boss. That may be true, Anonymous. I know that the spawns there are just no joke. There are, and I need hot strats. The puns, more puns. Okay, so now I'm actually going to mix in a little bit of a speed strat here, which is we're going to try to do a slide here. So that did a little extra damage. As I mentioned before, the slide actually does double damage, so... Oh, I should have done a slide. That's okay. Save my health. Playing it safe. Yeah, you really should do the speed strats with because of the damage you take on this last boss here. Okay, and time will be here in just a moment when you lose control of Rick. That's what we consider. Can someone say puns? And time. Okay, there we go. Whew. We survived. Everything is a-okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that has been Splatterhouse on the TurboGrafx 16 or the PC Engine if you're outside of North America. And I'm glad we survived. We didn't have to game over, which is always a plus if you don't game over in this game. I'm going to take a quick break as we switch over to some Ninja Spear, which is coming up next, which is a TurboGrafx 16 as well. But one of the things I did want to mention that's so great about this game is the ending title credits. The whole game really does feel like this horror flick, from like the late 70s, early 80s type of thing. They did a really good job of making it feel like that. So if you're at all interested, it's available on the Wii Virtual Console, or if you have a TurboGrafx 16, you can play it there. I think it even came as part of the Splatterhouse that was released on Xbox 360, I think. Anyway, it's a fantastic game. I highly recommend as a casual playthrough, and I'll be back in just a minute with some Ninja Spirit.
Yep, we'll be back in a few. Just one quick donation before we go. We got a $20 donation from Loopy313. Said, love the runs. Thank you once again, and we'll go to a very short break and be right back with the next game.